One of the biggest problems that we have found personally with marketing is that a lot of marketing strategy becomes like clutter. It becomes activity that's not really focused on outcomes. Like you start focusing on the wrong metrics, whether it's things like page traffic or it is things like likes, followers, engagement. It You really want to focus on activities that connect your effort, your strategy to the final outcome. And so one of the things that in the last, call it 5, 6 years of Evergreen, we have really focused in on what are the core things that need to happen for the marketing strategy to be successful. In my opinion, there's three things. Like if we can do these three things, doesn't matter the tactic, doesn't matter the specific format, but if we can do these three things, like the marketing strategy, the end goal of new client acquisition, of client retention, like these things will pan out if we get these three things right. The first one is audience expansion. One of the big challenges that we see a lot is if you don't have an active strategy to get in front of new eyeballs, your audience starts to get very stagnant. Now, familiarity, not a bad thing. Reputation building within people you already know, like, and trust, like that's a great thing. But when you're talking about actually fishing in ponds where they're, say, fresh fish, you have to have an intentional part of your strategy that will help your audience grow. And I'll put two qualifiers on that. Number one is that you don't want to grow generically or worse with like bots or like buying followers. You want to be able to say, this is where our ideal audience, our ideal client hangs out, and this is how we can get in front of them. Number two is that we see a lot of people, they'll just do content marketing, posting, commenting, like all the little tactics. But if there's not as specific, this is how we get new eyeballs on our brand, it doesn't happen on accident. So for every strategy we put together, we talk about what is the audience growth driver. It might be boosting, it might be connection outreaches. Like every platform, every strategy is different, but we need to have something that is measurably accomplishing new audience growth. So after we're starting to get some real traction in area number one, audience expansion, we want to move to area number two, where we want to see engagement growth. Now, engagement can mean a whole bunch of different things. Of course, this does mean areas like social media where you have, I would call it the top of the funnel engagement, likes, engagement, shares, comments, things like that. Those do matter. And in the best way, they also help drive the visibility piece. But we also want to zoom out and view engagement in a more human sense of the word. Still has to be measurable, we're marketers, but in the more human sense of the word, engagement means taking someone from a spectator to a participant. What gets someone to stop their scroll, to interject something that you have, something that you're sharing into their world, their ecosystem? So that might be them commenting, it might be them sharing, and those are great. But a lot of times we want to focus on more qualitative engagement. Lead magnets are probably the thing you've heard a lot about in terms of building your email list, building a newsletter. What we like to say is when you have this goal of moving someone to participant, you have to share things that are sincerely valuable to them. They can't just be, well, I ran a webinar or, well, I have an ebook. It has to be something that is worth their time, that they really believe they'll get something out of in exchange for whatever they're giving you, be it a comment or their email address. What we like to look at is saying that every piece of marketing content, especially the bigger ones, has its own value proposition and one that's pretty compelling to someone you want to engage with this. So as far as measuring it, we do want to measure from the top, kind of more broad parts of the funnel, all the way down to the more narrow parts, where it's about top is more like social media engagement, maybe website traffic. You keep going down till you get your email list. We want to measure all parts of those funnels, which is fairly easy to do, but we really want to focus on where's the highest quality moment where someone becomes a participant in our brand at a deeper level. If we can increase that kind of engagement, we are going to build an incredible reputation as the most valuable voice on this topic, on these topics in their world. Number three, once you get people into this pool where you're saying, you know what, we have a good level of engagement, especially if you're measuring things like email lists, text lists, signups, whatever your strategy is built around, we need to have a nurturing strategy. It is very, very rare that we ever see someone have one touch point, like they download one ebook and then they jump in the boat with all of their money, all of their savings, all of their investments. There's a trust that needs to be built up. And so when we look across our client performance dashboards, when we see someone who has downloaded one lead magnet, the possibility of them becoming a client does go up. But when we see them downloading or registering for 2, 3, 4 lead magnets, every time they have that successful touch point, the possibility, the likelihood of them becoming a client goes up. So what we want to have is an intentional nurturing strategy on the back end of your lead funnel, so that once you get them into the boat, they're not just getting the generic newsletter that everyone gets, let alone a canned newsletter, things like that. We want to have a specific personalized experience that takes your best sound bites, takes your best value, and delivers them in a tasteful, purposeful way. So if you want the end goal of more clients, new clients, better referrals, there's those three things that we want to make sure we are accomplishing in measurable fashion in your marketing strategy. Active growth of your ideal target audience, increased engagement, moving people from spectator to participant, and number three, a really intentional, measurable nurturing format where we can see the hard work done of winning contacts, things like that, moved to clients' discovery calls.